Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Shekhar Iyer. Joining me today is Shekhar Iyer ji as we look at the events in and around India. Shekhar ji, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar, Shekhar ji. Namaskar. I'm good, sir.
Sir, we'll start with the victory of BNP. It's come after many years now. A couple of times, I think they were kept out. Couple of times they refused to contest. Be that as it may, Bangladesh has some sort of a resemblance of getting back into normalcy. But there is also this thing about wanting to change their constitution. They had a referendum. I'm sure you have all the data that you have collected, and we can talk over all those things. Plus, viewers, a small request to like this video. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shekhar ji. The big question today is the elections have ended in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh Nationalist Party has won a landslide. And surprise of all surprises, the Jamaat-e-Islami Party, or the alliance led by it, has failed to score, any impressive number, despite overall Islamist flavor to these elections. Number one. Number two, the students' agitation, which really brought about the change, and where there was an interim government for the last 1.5 years under Mohammad Yunus, and that student bodies which contested under the banner of National Citizens Party has done very badly. Now, we are not getting into whether these elections were actually a very democratic open exercise, because the Awami League party of Sheikh Hasina was kept out of these elections. It was barred from contesting. On the other hand, Jamaat Islami, which was banned by Sheikh Hasina, the ban was lifted by Mohammad Yunus interim government and was allowed to participate. Now, the question is, Awami League not being allowed to contest. So some people are saying, this could have been even 30% of the population, or 40%, support could have been there, but we do not know. And Sheikh Hasina, who took shelter in India after that uprising, she has decried these elections, saying that these are one-sided elections. Now, India, for the first time, is not getting into this, but definitely we want to redraw the relationship with Bangladesh. So the question that is being asked is, whatever that has happened, what is the best way to salvage the India-Bangladesh relations? And a new government that will be formed will be led by Tarique Rahman, who is the son of Khalida Zia, who was the leader of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. And incidentally, Tarique Rahman, he was in exile in UK for a long time, almost 25 years, and he has just come back, and he led the party to election and has got a very, very, I would say, handsome mandate. Of course, we'll have to remember this mandate that has come, as in a way, the positive part of for India is that the distinctly and stridently anti-India party, that is the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is very pro-Pakistan and very wants to bring in some kind of a Shariat kind of law, and is opposed to the minorities in Bangladesh, that has not fared well. And the choice, for India was, I wouldn't say India had anything to do with the choice of the people of Bangladesh, but the scenario, the contrasting scenario was either the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP won, or the Jamaat won. Now, in the case of BNP, it is about Bangladeshi nationalism. The case of Jamaat, it was purely an Islamist formation. So, to that extent, in New Delhi here, people, our officials and the government is somewhat relieved that it is BNP which has come. Now, this is a kind of scenario we were expecting. And that is why soon after, when Tarique Rahman returned to Delhi and his mother passed away, So Prime Minister Modi had sent External Affairs Minister Jaishankar to Dhaka to personally deliver the condolence message from the Prime Minister to Tarique Rahman. And since then, Tarique Rahman has also been speaking on the need for resetting the ties with India. And in his first presser today, Tarique Rahman was asked about what will be the what will be the determining factor of the relationship between India and Bangladesh. And Tariq Rahman's reply, sir, is very, very significant. He said it will be Bangladesh first. And that principle will not apply just to its relationship with India, but also to the relationship with other major neighbors, whether China or even Pakistan. I think that's in a way of conveying a message that under his dispensation, the Tariq Rahman government would choose some kind of a positioning. I would call it a equidistance because BNP has very close ties with China and also with Pakistan. We know that, but at least we'll understand and appreciate the sentiments that have always been associated with the relationship with India. Now, Bangladesh needs India for a boost to its economy. It has to have a good relationship with India for better trade, for better welfare. I would say it's important. At the same time, how is India dependent on Bangladesh? India is not dependent on Bangladesh, but for us it is important. There is a government in Dhaka that does not encourage ultras, that does not encourage uh, those insurgent elements operating in the northeast, because there are memories of that relation, the rule under Khalida Zia, the last time BNP was in power between 2000 and 2006, when many of, particularly our Ulfa insurgents, were given shelter in Bangladesh, and then eventually some of them also went to Myanmar. We had to undertake some military operations close to the border. So that scenario memory is there, but now that our security situation in the northeast is much more resolved than earlier, particularly in reference to Ulfa or other insurgent groups, be it in Nagaland or any other, or even Mizoram. So therefore, so what we can see is that that phase, when the last Kalidasia's rule, that phase was not at all of good memory. But then it was followed by Awami League party rule under Sheikh Hasina, and relationship have improved. As I said earlier, sir, I don't want to use that word. For India, it was choosing between two lesser. I don't want to use that word, but many analysts are using the word two lesser evils. Well, I don't want to call that, either of them were evils. That's a choice of the people of Bangladesh. And one assumes that this time elections were fair. But we must also remember a very important political party, Awami League, was kept out of the elections. Be as that may. Now, in the case of BNP, at least Bangladeshi nationalism is understandable. But to have, imagine the scenario if Jamaat had won the election, Jamaat, which was opposed to the creation of Bangladesh, Jamaat, Sheikh Hasina would call it, they were hand in gloves with the perpetrators of the genocide of 1971. That would have been a bad scenario, but that would have been a nightmare, because to have a radical Islam government on the eastern borders, that would not have been a situation that could have been taken lightly. Of course, now that is not the scenario. BNP is a nationalistic party, and it does not believe in a theocratic state. That's very important. And so the fact that Jamaat did not score well among the voters, and the guess is, everybody says, because Jamaat was rather wanted to push back Bangladesh into a Parda system. Probably it did not get enough backing of the women voters, because the number of women who contested the elections were quite less compared to the previous elections we have seen. Now, it is that when he has spoken of Bangladesh first, well, that is That is definitely a point that India recognizes. Well, India has been talking of India first. So there has to be some kind of a beating ground. And there is already talk of that Tarique Rahman would like the neighboring countries to be represented in his swearing in ceremony to send a kind of message. And well, for us, it is a new reality. And we are willing to work with the Tariq Rahman government. We want to give it a try, but the irritation or the irritating point will be the new government of Bangladesh is also likely to press like the interim one for sending Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh. So, I mean, they are seeking extradition, citing their International Crimes Tribunal. That is a tribunal set up by Bangladesh interim government has already sentenced her to death. So it's not an easy thing. Of course, India, in these kind of extradition process, in the extradition arrangements, because unless both the countries agree to the kind of system of the judicial system in which an accused has become a convict, then only the extradition process take place. Now, I am not sure whether Tariq Rahman would like to start his innings by focusing on Sheikh Hasina or her extradition, because he has more jobs at hand. First thing, he will have to see that the economy of the Bangladesh is brought on rails. So he cannot afford to get into a unifocus of trying to take revenge on Sheikh Hasina, I would say, because it was under anticipation where BNP was also facing the heat. So I don't think Tariq Rahman would like to do that. And besides that, sir, there was a referendum. That was what is called the July Charter. They had put some charters that was also put before the people. That has also got endorsement. These charters were prepared by the students, agitating students then. Now, he will have to focus immediately on implementing those charter, which calls for a lot of system changes. That would require constitutional amendment. So one is not sure whether that is going to happen easily. So at the moment, it looks like both the countries, both Dhaka and New Delhi, will get a chance to rework the relationship. And in a way, maybe here in the foreign office as well as in our military establishment, there is a sense of feeling. I would say some say that it is not Jamaat which got the mandate. Rather, the mandate has shown that Jamaat does not have good support. Shriyarji.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll have to wait and see. The United States had predicted 60 seats for Jamaat, and that has happened. And in an earlier hangout, we had shown how there was a lot of rigging, and all that allegedly in favor of Jamaat. So it's a moot point, because what has happened is the Jamaat has won big along the border of India on its western side. And this could be also rigged. I mean, if it was not rigged, maybe the Jamaat would have got even fewer seats. Somewhere the US had predicted 60 seats, and these guys have got 60 plus seats. So I don't know what the game here for the United States is, Shekharji. They don't seem to be unhappy with Tariq Rahman either, because they've also recognized this government, just as Modi government has recognized them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens as the days and weeks progress. Sir, let's go to the next topic now. Sir.
So before we go, now I think the question is coming. What will happen to Muhammad Yunus now? He was the favorite of the West. What role will he play any further? Now there has to be a transition government. I mean, he has to hand over. The power has to shift to the popularly elected government. Those are going to be very interesting. And what about the Chhatra, the Chhatra Parishad or whatever, the students community, the young people, the so-called Gen Z who had participated, because they have come out, they have fared very poorly. It's an established political party that has won. Now, how is Tariq Rahman as the Prime Minister going to handle that? Will Jamaat again try to see that, to provoke the students into agitating again, so that the results of these elections are annulled at a later date, because Bangladesh has been known to see a lot of political instability. So those are areas, but definitely I think from Government of India side, uh, the wish will be for a stable situation in Bangladesh, a stable government in Bangladesh under Tarique Rahman. Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. This interesting thing about Pannu case, um, the guy who was alleged to have paid somebody to assassinate Pannu has now accepted, has pled guilty, which means his sentencing will be probably a few less years, maybe 15 to 20 years. I don't know exactly when the sentencing is going to come down the pipeline, but certainly there's a shift in stance. Not only that, his handler, a certain Yadav, is no longer with Raw. So the whole thing appears to have been like a rogue operation or something like that. At least that's what it seems to be from the Indian angle. Sir, you probably know what the inside story is. Share with us, sir, if you don't mind.
Sir, Shreyas, the last 2 months has seen a movie called Durantar,
Yeah.
which is about how the Indian intelligence establishment decided to send uh, a special agent to Pakistan, and how that special agent went there, got himself totally merged with the crime syndicates of Pakistan, and wreaked havoc by destroying one of the gangs that was believed to be behind the Mumbai 2611. And it starts from the Kandahar hijack of Indian Airlines flight to Kandahar, to Kandahar, and then it take the whole movie is a fictional account, no doubt, but it does show that just as United States and Israel do not spare any person or any body or any organization that poses threat to its citizens or the threats to its territory, and how they are eliminated, that India too could be acquiring a kind of capability and would not easily forgive those who have killed its innocent people. Now, this was the basis for this movie Durantar, and the movie by this Aditya Dar, rather.
Aditya Dhar. Yeah.
Aditya Dar. This movie has done fantastically well, given its music, and it does spoke about the Baluch angle to this whole, the Pakistan Baluch insurgency, and the role of ISI in recruiting young people in Pakistan, misguided youth, indoctrinating them in Islamist ideology, and sending them across the border, pushing them across the border to commit acts of terrorism, be it Jammu Kashmir or like the one that happened in Mumbai. Now, this film has done phenomenally well. And people who normally say, no, no, this film is about, it is again on Hindu Muslim, it did none of that. This movie just gave a fictional possibility of what India could be or what India is doing. Now, when there was the spring of deaths of terrorist leaders in Pakistan, that there was a lot of suspicion and kind of an insinuation that these are being carried out by the Indian security establishment. Now, in this background, you had the killing of Nijar. Now, Nijar was killed in a Khalistan separatist leader who was killed in Canada. And he was killed in Canada on July 18, 2023. Subsequent to that, the story of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, who was quite active on social media, threatening Indian diplomats, India, on behalf of Sikhs for Justice group, even having very quite violent demonstrations against Indian missions in Canada as well as in United States. And Indian government's efforts to convey to both Canadian governments and American governments then about need to somehow control the activities of these groups, particularly of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. Incidentally, when Trudeau government was there in Canada, we saw that they took a completely different view, calling it a freedom of choice and freedom of expression that the Canadians enjoy. Therefore, this Pannu cannot be, anyway restrained. Now, Pannu incidentally is a citizen of US as well as Canada. He has a dual citizenship. Now, that is a time when suddenly a business person named Nikhil Gupta was named, and he was named as a person who had attempted to hire an assassin to bump off Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. And soon after he was named, he traveled to Czech Republic, from where he was extradited to the United States. And he has been held in prison for from 23 onwards. And now this has come that that he has pleaded guilty. And incidentally, the person whom you chose to hire happened to be a US law enforcement undercover agent. And that is how the American law enforcement agencies have said that they have completely busted this whole operation. And their case, as you just mentioned, is that Nikhil Gupta was under instruction from an Indian government employee named Vikas Yadav, who was working with India's external intelligence arm, that is RANW, and he was in touch with him. And soon after this happened, in December 2023, Delhi police cell registered a case against Vikas Yadav, and he was arrested and was sent to prison on charges of some kind of a complicity or some kind of a collusion with the gangsters headed by Lawrence Bishnoi, who have been targeting celebrities, threatening them with kidnapping or demanding ransom amount, and then even ordering killings in order to terrorize some top people. Then it was pointed out that there was some effort to get some top Indian security official into this whole thing. But with Trump's victory, the scenario changed. When Trump became president, we saw that Pannu's activity came down. We did not hear of Pannu at all. And also, with the change in the scenario and the security environment in America, with the takeover of, with Trump taking over, this activity has lessened. Similarly, with the change of government in Canada and India, we have seen meetings between Canadian Prime Minister and our Prime Minister, in which I think both sides have agreed that terrorist groups should not be encouraged in the name of democratic freedom or as a privilege of belonging to an open liberal society, because these groups are militant groups. And India has been impressing on Canada as well as the United States that the so-called Sikh militant groups are involved in kidnapping, gun running, drug trafficking, and they seem to be doing all over the world, and more so in Punjab also. And in Canada, there has been clashes between these groups over sharing of the spoils. But now that the Canadian government has also seen this game, now, but with this development, I think everybody will be asking this question: will it in any way be another source of irritant between India and the United States? Now that we have just managed to secure some kind of an agreement over an interim framework for a US-India trade deal, which has seen a lot of discussion in India, protest by Rahul Gandhi, and it's a political challenge for the Prime Minister Modi to convince his critics in India that this is the best deal that India could have got, and nothing has been signed yet. It's only an agreement to. So, question is again popping up that. And by the way, sir, Durandar 2 is being released because Durandar 1 did so well. It earned more than 1,000 crores in the box office. That is a phenomenal figure for any Bollywood film, earning 1,000 crores, rather more than 1,000 crores. So here, now Durandar 2 is coming in March. And Nikhil Gupta, who has been arrested, you said he may have to face a sentence instead of 40 years if all these offenses were separately taken. He could get away with it, and his verdict could come on May 29. I think by the time the Durandar 2 will be running here. Sir, publicly the mood is that if indeed Indian government has ordered such action against terrorist heads, people who are masterminding some of the violence in India, killing innocents, that India has every right, just as US claims right or Israel claims right, to liquidate enemies who are out to create cause a lot of pain and suffering and killings. So therefore, within the debate is not whether we actually did it or whether we have that capability, but definitely there is some kind of a demand that we need to take action against countries which are giving shelter to such groups, which are being encouraged by anti-Indian forces. So we need to act where if we must act. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let's talk about the last topic. Vande Mataram, the full Vande Mataram is going to be sung. It's a 6-stanza. I've heard the full thing, sir, but very rarely. Only in few functions do they sing this. It's really a good thing that you don't chop up the song, but you play the entire thing. To that extent, I'm very happy about it. Sir, what are the reactions from the ground?
Sir, the reactions that we saw when Parliament observed 150 years of Vande Mataram, that time the same things are being repeated here. All India Muslim Law Board, your MIM, and a lot of Muslim organizations are coming forward and saying, no, this is, this is not acceptable. You cannot force us to sing like the national anthem, the Jana Gana Mana. And also opposition parties, particularly Trinamool Congress, Congress Party, Samajwadi Party, who believe, who want to make a case that this is somehow, violates the sense of the Muslims. Because this is the same argument that came when originally the song was initially, when it became a rallying song during the Swadeshi movement. First, it was during the Swadeshi movement, that is 1905 to 1906. That was the time the Swadeshi movement was in full gear. That is the time when this song was taken. Now, this song has had a history, and it was a war cry during the freedom struggle. And this whole need to be to see that the very fact it was truncated in the first place, that only first two stanzas that will be sung, because the rest 4 stanzas were considered to be, no, this will hurt the sentiments of Muslims, because it looks at India as Mother India and comparing it with Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, the Divine Mother herself. Therefore, they cannot sing. And incidentally, Jawaharlal Nehru, sir, first it was, composed by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Banking Babu in 1875. Now, 6 years later, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee took those 2 stanzas of his the hymn that he had written, Vande Mataram, that is, I bow to the mother, I bow to you, mother. And he took those 2 stanzas and added 4 more in his novel called Anand Mat, which was, you have a movie named after Anand Mat, and which is essentially a story of sannyasis rebelling against the then Muslim rulers of Bengal. Because Muslim was under a prolonged period of Bengal was under Muslim rule. And this Anand Mat is a story of sannyasis rebellion against the rule of actually Mir Jafar and in the East India Company overlords. Now, as I said, in Swadeshi, during the Swadeshi movement, it became a rallying cry. And in October of 1937, Jawaharlal Nehru wrote to Netaji Subhash Bose saying that some communists were making an issue out of this. So let us not give handle to them. So let us only sing those 2. Let us adopt these 2 for our as part of the Indian Congress movement for independence. And he said, because there are apprehensions among the minority community and all. Sir, that was the time on also when the demand for Pakistan had picked up under Muslim League. So it's Congress Working Committee had a resolution in October of 1937, during that very period we are talking, where it decided only 2 stanzas will be sung because the other 4 stanzas are not acceptable to Muslims. Now, Constituent Assembly also debated this. Before, when they were working on the Constitution, they also debated on this, and they came to the conclusion that that since they felt that this national anthem, that is Jana Gana Mana and Vande Mataram, had to be given importance, but national anthem was adopted in a way that it should be sung and there should be a importance given to that. But at the same time, they did not press much about Jana Gana Mana. I mean, Vande Mataram, because of these reasons that we are seeing from 1937 onwards. Now, the opposition has been that this Vande Mataram gives a strong imagery of India as Mother India, Bharat Mata. Now, what is the reason is because the third stanza, because third, fourth, fifth, the third stanza speaks of, Mother India having crores of arms. And in the fourth, her image is given as the Divine Mother. And fifth stanza makes it very clear that she is the Durga Lakshmi Saraswati incarnate. Now, why has the government brought it now? Well, the opposition says this is to influence voters in Bengal. Sir, incidentally, when Nehru, wanted Congress party to adopt this without those stanzas, without those, stanzas being added, that time Rabindranath Tagore had also endorsed it. And when 150 years of Vande Mataram was celebrated in Parliament, Prime Minister specially said that this itself was the first instance of vote bank politics, first instance of appeasement. When it was a war cry, what was the need to appease people? Whereas they must understand and appreciate, because this is the way. And now the Congress and other parties, even Mamata is saying, no, this is, you want to, play up the sentiments of Banking Babu, because Banking Babu has been forgotten. Everybody is referring to Rabindranath Tagore. But this BJP is very keen that this issue is also discussed during this coming assembly elections in Bengal. And rest of the country, I do not see any these groups which are opposed going to the court on this, because now the objection, it will be mandated. Now this will be definitely sung in any function where heads of the state or the heads of the government or constitutional heads are participating. So this is going to now pick up steam and become an issue. But question is, how valid is this objection to Vande Mataram? By singing it, is anyone's religious sentiments are affected? Or is it just a political issue that some people will oppose it because it suits their efforts to ensure a core vote bank of them remains intact? This question is going to come. Sir, during when the Vande Mataram was discussed in Parliament recently, during the 150 years, the leaders from the DMK even said that this Bankim Babu wrote this with the communal intent. Can you believe it? They were accusing a poet like Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay of some communal intent because he had visualized the mother in India. So this is just to please, in the hope they believe that such things are required to please their vote bank. So there it stands today. So those things will get revived. But it's very important that government has done what it has done. And this intention was very clear when we saw the debate in the Parliament during the 150 years of Vande Mataram. and how much of role it will play in Bengal elections. Sir, Bengal elections is very clear. The issues that are coming up is, one is the kind of governance that the Mamata Banerjee has provided in the last, one can say, 15 years. She came to power in 2011. That is one. Number two is, and the way the corruption in Bengal. Third is our point blank refusal to prevent infiltration, our refusal to take action against detection and deportation of foreigners. That is also an issue. And third is that she has been specifically cultivating Islamist elements just for our political success. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll take some questions now. Thank you, Ranga Venkatesh, for becoming YouTube member. Shekharji, with Nikhil Gupta's sudden guilty plea in February, has a rogue agent narrative finally reached its dead end, or is it the first move in a high-stakes diplomatic bargain?
So one thing definitely, that was Nikhil Gupta acting alone, or Nikhil Gupta has mentioned Vikas Yadav. That is how US authorities did Vikas Yadav. Now, was Vikas Yadav acting on his own? Because the important element in this is, sir, they say that the first some amount also exchanged hands. That is
15,000.
also
15,000, sir.
$15,000
US dollars. Yeah.
15,000 US dollars. And these payments were made in New York. So who was giving this $15,000? What is the actual facts that are being investigated, and what exactly are facts? Now, is there a big role of any official of the government of India? Or is this episode is being used as another pressure point in the reset of India-America relations? Because this question will also come. Why is suddenly this thing has gained? Now we'll have to wait and see till May 29th. That's the time when a verdict will be pronounced on the quantum of punishment for Nikhil Gupta.
Next question, please.
On the other, Vikas Yadav is in jail here.
Yeah.
And so question of extraditing Vikas Yadav will come, because our courts will not let an accused go out till the case is settled here. Sir.
Muslims will sing Vande Mataram in schools. What are your views on this? Even Congress will give respect to Vande Mataram?
Sir, because of the political parties only, this issue is taking a communal turn. Because, and what is the argument? No, RSS did not sing national anthem. RSS did not unfurl national flag in its headquarters. When they are claiming of that period, who God knows. But question is, why is Vande Mataram not seen as, it was a clarion call for freedom? And it has been, sir, simply saying Vande Mataram in the AICC sessions will not do. In Parliament, sir, the system is, the session ends with Vande Mataram, where all the members stand. No, only first two stands are okay, rest are not okay. And first two stands are only accepted. That means first two stanzas are secular and the rest four stanzas were communal. How can any political party take it upon itself to declare a piece of literary work that one portion is communal, one portion is secular? I mean, if you think Banking Babu has written a song that, even today reverberates. Even today, when people say Vande Mataram, that gives a sense of purpose. That cannot be denied by anybody. But to say, a part of it is this and part of it is that. Sir, one must also confess that just as people can recite Jana Gana Mana very, many people have memorized it because we have heard it since our childhood. Such a thing has not happened in the case of Vande Mataram because it was not popularized. And then now this another group has come. No, it is a Sanskritized Bangla. It is not a very simple.
It is Sanskrit, sir. There is no Sanskritized Bangla. It is Sanskrit, sir.
So, I mean, Sanskrit is a mother language. One cannot deny it. A number of Indian languages have the basis in Sanskrit. Have their basis. Sir.
Out of syllabus question, what is your opinion on the 2 exit polls for TN and the possibility of NDA supported government taking over in TN?
Sir, the way it looks like now, that the DMK-led alliance is having problems within the alliance now, because whether Congress will go with it, what will be the final call of Rahul Gandhi, and now that the Stalin has decided, no question of a coalition government, no question of sharing power, all these as ruffled feathers in the Congress. As on date, they have not been able to even start a dialogue on number of seats to contest. On the other hand, Vijay has emerged as a disruptor. One can have a critic on the way he's projecting himself, his political party, not very distinct ideology, or even saying what it is going to do. But one thing is clear, he is projecting himself as an alternative. That you people have seen what the DMK has done or not done, you have seen AIDMK, and here I come with a completely different approach. So whom will you trust? He's on a narrative. He is a disruptor. Now, that the kind of panic that is one seeing in DMK, that shows that their earlier confidence they will come back to power with some 200 plus seats, that does not hold anymore. That's a big sign. So are we going to see an election which may throw up a hung assembly? Because Tamil Nadu has never voted like that. They always voted one side or the other side. Are we going to see a different scenario? Sir, a lot of it is going to depend on whether DMK alliance is intact and is going to work in unison.
Thank you so much, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaskar.